Hey there, it's Laura here from makingcardstosum.com, and it's time for another Saturday Sunday carding video. In today's video, I will be using the Rooting for You stamp and die cut set from Fawn. I think this set is just simply adorable, and I love that you can customize these little vegetables with the smiley faces. I'm starting out by stamping the turnip using vanilla frosted cupcake ink from the ton. And then I am stamping those lines using Soft Blossom ink from Hero Arts. I think it's really fun to kind of build these vegetables with the two stamps for each one. Then for the carrot, I am using Peach Blossom ink from the ton to stamp my first layer. And then for the second layer, I used Coralline ink from the ton. Then I'm going to stamp the beads. I am using Soft Amethyst ink from the ton for my first layer. So this is the lightest color. And then for the lines, I am using Iris Blooms. This ink is slightly darker than the Soft Amethyst. Then it's time to stamp all of those leaves. I am using the Soft Garden ink from the ton to stamp the first layer. And then for the second layer, so for those little veins, I am stamping with Bright Fern ink from the ton. So these inks work really well together to layer them, so I really like that. Then it was time for the most fun part. I got to stamp the little faces. So I'm stamping those little smiley faces with Caviar ink from the ton. And I'm also going to be stamping the little cheeks. I am using Soft Garnet ink from the ton to stamp the cheeks. And this was just a really nice color that worked great with the other colors, just to give the vegetables a little bit of a healthy blush. And then I simply die cut all of those shapes with the coordinating dies from the Rooting for You set. I wanted to create a trifold card, and I tested out a lot of measurements and a lot of different things, but then I finally figured out how to do it. I didn't capture it on camera because I almost gave up, but I did succeed. I cut a piece of white cardstock slightly larger than 10.5 inch by 5.5, and then I scored that at 3 5/8 and at 7 1/8 using my Martha Stewart scoring board. And then when you fold these lines, you will have a perfect trifold card. I am using the Circle Stackables dies from Fawn to die cut a circle, and after I did that, I took that piece of paper and I traced that same circle onto some masking paper because I wanted to get the exact same die cut on some masking paper because I'm going to be doing something with that. So I die cut the circle, and then I am removing the backer sheet from my masking paper, and I'm going to adhere that onto the second piece of my card. So I'm just kind of figuring out how to adhere that because I wanted that to match perfectly with the circle on the first piece of my trifold card. Then I'm using some distress ink to blend a garden scene. I am using tumbled glass for the first layer of the sky, and I am applying real light pressure on my blending tool because I really want a soft blended look. I also added some Salty Ocean, that's just a little bit darker than the tumbled glass. And then I blended that with the excess tumbled glass that was still on my little foam thingy from the blender tool. Then I cut a curved border using my scissors out of some white cardstock, and I'm using that negative piece to blend the soil because I wanted like this perfect little shape. So I used Antique Linen first to add my first layer, and then I used Vintage Photo to just to add a little bit more of a darker brown. So yeah, I just wanted it to look like real soil, so I had to use the Vintage Photo to add a little bit more of darkness. Then I'm just carefully going to remove that mask, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to piece together all of my little vegetables. I am using the Tombow Mono multi glue to adhere the leaves onto the vegetable. I am using my EK Success tweezers to hold that down because it was kind of a precise little thingy to do. So yeah, the EK Success tweezers were definitely helpful. Then I trace a little line, and I'm going to cut 3 little slits using my X-Acto knife. And I'm doing that just so I can tuck in those little vegetables, and then it will look like they're actually in the soil, so they will look like real vegetables. And I thought that was just really cute and fun and playful. So I'm just placing those in, and then I am cutting the second slit. I got this X-Acto knife at a local craft shop, so I can't link to that, but any X-Acto knife will work for this technique. Then I'm using some pattern paper from the Let's Polka paper pack from Fawn, and I'm going to trace that circle from the first layer, and then I can easily line that up. And I did that just to make sure that my pattern paper will line up perfectly with that circle. So I'm tracing those little lines so I know where I had to cut with my Fiskars Cut, and then I adhere that down with my Scotch ATG tape. Using a little bit of the Tumble Mono multi-glue to adhere those little vegetables into the slits, because I wanted to make sure that they will stay put and that they won't be able to fall out. I'm also stamping the watering can from the Rooting for You stamp set with some crystal pewter ink from the ton, and I'm also using the coordinating die to die cut that. I adhered that on top of that circle with some Tumble Mono multi-glue, just pressing that down a little bit. And then I'm also going to stamp those 3 little lines of water that's coming out of the watering can. I'm using hot tourmaline ink from the ton for that. And finally, I'm stamping my sentiments from the Rooting for You stamp set with some soft garnet ink from the ton. And that finishes up my trifold card. I really like how this turned out, and I hope that this will make the recipient very happy. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye bye!